So it looks like honestly your shirt was white at one point, but all of a sudden, like from all the beefcakes you've eaten and all like the gains you've made, kind of like faded the color of that shirt.
To be honest with you, I went camping and I forgot to bring TP. Still haven't watched it yet.
You ever see those videos where it's whatchamacallit? I went to the bathroom and now I'm like one sock short.
I haven't, but I believe it.
Yeah, it's like the situation where you run out of toilet paper and then like all of a sudden like you're like, well, what's the next best thing to do? And everyone has probably millions of pairs of socks anyway, so.
Yeah, man, socks are probably like the grossest thing, especially like for teenage boys. Teenage boys are the worst thing to socks.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about those things, Roman.
I'm just gonna leave that one right there.
Gainz Podcast is actually starting a new series called the Sex Podcast, where Roman and Antoine actually go over things such as dating, introducing
how to turn your iPhone into a vibrator.
You know what? It's weird. I'm actually sitting for this podcast. Honestly, I think I've been standing while working today, and I think I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll be a little sleepy on the podcast, not standing up, but yeah, I'm just gonna sit down and chill and just relax this one.
Nice, buddy. I like it.
But what was I gonna start with? Forgot to tell you earlier, Roman, and this is for all the people out there listening. I did a funny post on my Instagram. If you're not following me, follow me on Antoine Coletta on Instagram, Roman Long 1031 or Gainz Podcast. I posted yesterday about Sam's deadlifts. I don't know if you saw that, but she was repping 205 yesterday, baby on the deadlift.
Damn.
And I posted the video of her like doing the set, and I said, probably deadlifting more than your boyfriend or husband.
Yep, she's deadlifting more than me. I did 155 by 8 for my top set of straight leg deadlifts yesterday. So Sam is more of a man than I am. Congratulations, Sam.
But let's not talk about gender, Roman. Come on. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Also, she was doing sets of 3, so it wasn't you know what? And also,
Totally
you know what? She said next week because she started doing powerlifting stuff again with me, and she's been taking her time off. This crazy lady wants to go to like 225 next week. I'm like, holy hell. She goes, yeah, that felt pretty damn easy.
That's awesome.
225. Nice.
Yeah, she says it feels good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And also too, when because there's only 2 deadlift platforms, and we usually go in the busy time, so they have the deadlift tool where you can easily rack and unrack weights off of the bar.
That's
but
really cool.
When Sam was doing 205 and I was doing 385, I was literally taking the 2 plates and putting it on like, a plate, a 25 and a 10. So it was like the widest 385 I've ever lifted. So that was kind of weird. Yeah. I don't know the science behind that, but I know the lift is different when it comes to like a wider load. Hey now. But yeah, and also too, if you guys haven't seen it, maybe I'll do it a little bit more during lifts. But man, I'm so lazy. Roman and I are like, maybe we need to like hire someone to do like the social media for us, because I feel like we're not like hip to it where we talk about every situation in our day-to-day basis when it comes to like fitness. So on Sunday I did do some stories on Gainz Podcast, which was pretty interesting. I did have someone comment on them, so it's like pretty cool. Maybe like Roman and I could do a little bit more story stuff, and like, instead of posting a day of eating, maybe Roman and I could just go ahead and just, hop on like, hey, this is meal number 1 for Antoine, meal number 2 for Roman, and just kind of simply just show you guys how we eat. I'm just going to show you guys what all the good eats I do and like the healthy food, because I don't want you guys to see me eating junk food. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't care.
Nice. I like it. Let's do it. Why not? Another thing, since we're talking about this, listeners, let us know if you think this would be a good strategy. I think we should follow more people on our Instagram. Like, I think we should follow more like high impact people, like I can't believe it. He's going to be the first person that pops in, that he is the first person that popped in my mind.
Lewis?
No, that'd be cool. I definitely think we should follow like top level bodybuilders, but I think we should follow people like Gary Vaynerchuk. We should follow top level bodybuilders, top level like powerlifters, just so that like our following is more representative of like the community that we're trying to build together. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I was thinking we remove all the followers and only have people following us because we're just so damn cool.
I just think I've noticed that the more you like add people, the algorithm seems to extend your reach.
But the algorithm is just terrible because all they want me to do is follow gym thoughts. Like, it's like literally like the reels, like the reels portion of it and like the search thing. And I'm like, maybe you guys got to stop thinking of that. Maybe I should like change like stuff where it's like, I don't know, like I'm just like, I don't care about this stuff. Like I'm tired of these fake like IG models that like use and like they just like use and they eat like probably like crap and they're just probably using drugs the whole time. And I don't want to see that. Like, but yeah, I saw like my second also, besides going to the Arnold, I think I've actually seen, speaking of which, I've seen the second like not natty lady in my life. Usually it's for some reason harder to find not natty ladies. But I seen my second one yesterday. Maybe it's a West Coast thing. I think the drugs and fitness are kind of more popular in the West Coast because it's always nicer weather and everyone's trying to have them 6-pack abs. Yeah.
Someday I'll get back to that.
You said you'll get back to that?
Someday. Yeah, I'm so fluffy right now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, like, don't even worry about it. You could see like two of my abs now, and that's about it. But you know what? The whole goal is to get stronger to the point where you don't necessarily need to be that lean to see abs, right? So Roman's gonna cut down the 170 one day and see a 6-pack. He might not think about that's achievable now, but in about 10 years, or well, I'd say less, maybe like 2 or 3 years. Like if he could build it, the 1 pound a year, I think you could do it, buddy. 170 ripped.
1 pound a year. Oh my god. Hopefully, I'm shooting for like 2.5 to 5, but we'll see.
I just try to be humble. I'm not trying to make you look like you're a superhuman. I'm not. Yeah. It's just a grind.
I kind of want to look superhuman.
Yeah. I mean, if you're deadlifted 495 for reps or squatting 405, maybe one of these days.
See, I haven't been deadlifting, and like I really don't like.
Yeah, I know.
Don't have any like real goals to like.
You said you're gonna trap deadlift and see a PR, but I haven't seen.
I did. Yeah, I posted it.
I know.
I went up to like a 325 by 3 or something like that.
I know, but I wanted to see more. I wanted to see you hit like 405 for 3.
Yeah. Well, if that's something that is like becomes of interest to me again, but I crushed that goal, and then I was like, all right, like, and honestly, like, for our listeners, trap bar deadlifts weren't super fatiguing for me, and I think like for like building the posterior chain, I think that could be like a really good option for people. It does get kind of tricky, like which day you put it on, so just choose and stick with it for a cycle. Whether you want to do it for legs, fine, put it on leg day. If you want to do it for back, fine, put it on back day. Just know that whatever day you put it on, it's going to affect the volume that comes after it. It's an intense compound lift. It's an intense compound lift. I'll just put it that way.
Speaking of,
I got up to like. Go ahead.
Can you tell them your cycle on Tremboloni? Trembling?
All natural, baby.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Trap bar deadlift is something I've never done. Maybe in high school.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a totally different feel than a conventional or a sumo. Totally different.
Do you ever say like trap game crazy afterwards, like after a set?
Yeah, okay. It's a ritual for me actually.
No, yeah. I mean, it's more. You know what? I heard it's more of a leg drive, and it helps you get in position better, supposedly.
Yeah, it's probably like the ideal athletic stance. It's like really good for creating explosion too. Explosion. But yeah, I would like to grow my straight leg deadlift. So it'd be cool if I was in like the low 200s for like sets of like 8 to 12. 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 by the end of my this like mesocycle. I think that's totally doable. But yeah, as an example, let me see what I did. But I think it was like 155 by 8, 135 by 10, 135 by 8. And I go like nice and slow. Like I have like a 3 or 4 second eccentric. But I only did 3 sets of hammies. And like that was yesterday. And they are like
crying. They're crying.
And it's not like it's the first time I've done it. This is like the second or third time I've done it in this training block. And they're still like annihilating my my hamstrings. So
if you want to see someone to motivate you on straight leg deadlifts, check out Dan Green. I'm pretty sure he's done like 700 pounds on straight leg deadlift.
That's insane.
he does it, and sometimes he do them off like a 2-inch block.
Yeah. Oh wow. See, that's what I mean. Like, I think we should follow people like him. I think we should follow people like Dan Bell. Give him a little bit more credit, and yeah, people like that.
Yeah, I think Dan Bell just like benched like 700 or something in training, like nothing.
No way.
Dude's a monster, man.
He just put up like, I thought he just put up 600 recently.
Or maybe it was 600. Yeah. I don't know.
Did you see Julius Maddox benched 785 recently? I think in a competition.
Wow.
Yeah, raw. New world record.
Yeah. Yep.
Meanwhile, our poverty benches, we're working up to 300.
Honestly, Roman thinks he's going to catch up to me in bench, but I think I want to say fat equals more strength, and Roman's never going to be the fatness of Antoine's level right now. But it's okay. You know what? How about this? After I hit my singles in deadlifting and I switch back to like 4s or 5s, maybe I'll start trying to do like heavy singles or doubles at bench. Not like RP 10 or anything, but like I'll give it a run for its money.
Sweet.
I'm honestly, you know what? I'm at to the point in my career in gym where I'm just gonna do bench accessories, deadlift accessories, squat deadlift accessories, and then like leave.
What's that guy's name? I thought you were just gonna say bench and bench accessories. Scott. I can't think of his last name. Mendelsohn. Yeah, sounds like Scott Mendelsohn.
That's also what what's his face did. He was always on super training, man. I can't think of his name, but he was like I think he was like benching 1,000 pounds. He never squat or deadlifted at all. Like he was just bench only. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And also, if anyone's listening, can you tell me how what is Chad Wesley Smith's company, Juggernaut?
Yeah.
Can someone tell me if they use Juggernaut AI? I'm very interested in it. But the only thing that sucks about it is they only have powerlifting, but it says power building coming soon. So let me know if you guys, I know like Brandon Campbell uses it. I don't know if you know him, Roman. He's been around YouTube forever. His name's Basement Brandon on YouTube. He pretty much is like, he's like the godfather of like home gyms and like lifting in a home gym and actually competing in powerlifting competitions. So I think he's in like Rhode Island. Like he's like out there like northeast.
Is that Garage Gym Reviews?
No, that's
the
cool.
same guy.
That's
okay.
No.
What's his name? I'll look him up.
Basement Brandon.
Basement Brandon on Instagram?
Yeah. His name's Brandon Campbell, but he goes by Basement Brandon. But what the hell? But he, to the point I was saying earlier, he actually runs Juggernaut AI for his powerlifting.
Okay.
But I want to know if like anyone else uses it, because I'm interested. But I think I'm gonna wait until the power building comes out, because like I said, I don't know if I want to go straight powerlifting yet. Maybe eventually, maybe if I get tired of doing accessory work, because I'm so wiped from my compounds. Maybe eventually I stop, but
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, this guy's really cool. His last video that he posted is like
he's very
like 500-pound squat.
Yeah, he reviews a lot of gym equipment too. Like people send him stuff, or he just buys it because that's like his life. You know, he does YouTube for a living. But yeah, he's like I think he's like my height, 6'2". I don't know how much he weighs, but yeah, he's like similar structure when it comes to like me.
That's really cool. Yeah, it says he's out of Rhode Island. That's gonna be super close to me.
Rhode Island. Yeah, maybe you guys should do a meetup. Maybe you should bump up the podcast popularity.
There's actually like I'm learning about more and more people in my area that like bodybuilding and stuff like that, which is really cool. There's this guy, he's a coach out of like I don't know, what do you call it? Southeastern Mass, pretty much. Not on the Cape, but his name's Justin Randall. He's he's an IFBB pro and he's a coach. The guy's an absolute animal. Any of like the videos I've seen him lift, he's like he's so insane. But he kind of has a similar build to me. He's like on the shorter side, but the guy is freaking jacked out of his mind. It'd be super cool to like go and work out with the group like that.
Yeah. But anyways, episode 75.
Damn.
3/4 of the way to 100, baby. But yeah, this episode is brought to you by Roman's Long Deodorant. Lay it on thick, and you'll never have to put it on again. So Roman's Deodorant, you can find that at rominskydeo.com. Code Gainz Podcast for 10% off on your first order.
I was gonna say stinky one.
stinky 10. 10% off. But anyways, to the Gainz Podcast story from Sunday was me talking a little bit about my upper session, but in reality to this episode, kind of like sauna. We kind of want to go over. Not kind of, but we're going to go over today about like some hot and cold therapies, like what is it, what types there are, and like if they're effective, can they be effective? Should you maybe do them? Should you maybe not? As you know, Roman's a minimalist, so he's going to tell you probably not to do any of these. So if you want to like skip over Roman's opinions, then yeah, probably, skip over Roman's conversation about it. But anyways, I'm just joking, guys. But yeah, so when I think of like some of the hot and cold therapies, I'm thinking like, you know what? We didn't really like I didn't really write it down, and I don't know if Roman wants to talk about it or not, but there's like ice packs, like heating pads that you're probably used to seeing like back in the day. And Roman, maybe if you want to go into that later, you can. Or because I mean the science is kind of like generally there with hot and cold, and then there's like the new age stuff, which saunas and steam rooms, they're not really new age, but like you see them a lot more in like those chain gyms. Cryotherapy, which is like you could do like that chamber, which gets to like what is it, negative degrees, like -20 or something like that, or I don't know, it could be more, could be less. Roman, do you know that one?
Something like that. I know they have like dunk tanks, which can get like pretty cold and stuff like that. And then obviously people do like ice baths and ice showers and stuff like that. Yeah. To start this off, and Roman probably, I know I made the joke about Roman. I don't typically use like ice and cold therapies as much as like a part of my recovery. I use them more for relaxation, stress relief, and a place to like meditate or stretch, if that makes sense. So I wanted to put that out there. I know a lot of people swear by stuff, and there's a lot of information out there, but I just want to throw that out there. Wait, so
what?
Clarifying question. Did you say you use like cold like applicators for stretching, helping you stretch?
I don't. No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said that. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I just wondered if you had like a certain protocol for that.
Yeah. So what's crazy is a lot of like people, like kids my age, like when we used to play basketball all day or baseball, And like me, I'm always like, I love to live in the pain. I don't know why I love to live in it, but I don't usually do any of this. But like, I knew a couple of friends of mine that actually used to rub like biofreeze on like the
Yeah.
muscles they typically get sore, and then they would stretch, and then they would play basketball.
Yeah.
So I don't know the science behind that. I don't like because like typically when you're stretching, you want to warm up the area, make yourself more flexible in the area. Obviously, if you're doing like a quad stretch, you want to get your quads ready to start moving, start getting to that activity so you can reduce injury, correct? So I don't know why you would want to mix the cold and hot right away because pretty much if you like cool your muscles down, typically that would help like, I guess like recover or slash like finish the workout. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things that are going in my head when I think about this stuff, but pretty much because I want to let Roman talk a lot about this stuff. So I wrote down some stuff about cryotherapy. Jeff Nippard did a video. If you guys probably heard a lot about Jeff Nippard. He does a lot of science-based like videos. He didn't do anything about like hot therapy, but I do want to kind of just mention the cold therapy side about the cryotherapy. It's 15 degrees. It's negative 15 degrees. Sorry. So I guess that's the chambers and the dunk tanks, but they're usually negative 15 degrees. It could change. I mean, some people might see it like a little bit different when it comes to the water or the ice chamber. Don't quote me on that. It's not always probably negative 15 degrees. But pretty much the idea is you want to go in the water or the chamber for about 2 to 3 minutes. The water portion, Roman, I think that so it's called immersion water, like being immersed in water, immersion. But pretty much, where the heck is? Okay, so there was in the video he kind of mentioned the 2016 study about the 10 subjects doing 5 sets of 15 on reps of leg curl, and then pretty much like 0, 24, 48, and 72 hour difference with the cold water immersion pretty much was improving like the idea around soreness. Cold water immersion, he did mention, seems to be better than the ice chambers. And also the overall cooling treatments does delay DOMS, goes out to 96 hours. But the key thing, like in Roman might mention too, and I mentioned, typically these studies, it correlates with soreness and DOMS, but if you do listen to us, listen to anyone else, you'll understand with working out and recovery, soreness and DOMS don't always equate to muscle gains or muscle recovery. Just because you do have DOMS or soreness doesn't mean you're getting gains, doesn't mean you're not making gains. So on both spectrums, you obviously, like if you hear a lot of our talks, like yes, train hard, train heavy, train often, but if you're not correlating like everything that you experience with your body and how you train, if you're doing a cold therapy, just like cryotherapy or the cold immersion therapy, like just because like you don't feel as sore, does that mean like like you're recovering faster, or does that mean like your DOMS isn't coming? So does that mean like you're not making gains or you're making gains? It could be both. Also, could be you can't really test a placebo effect in these therapy trainings, because if you blindfolded someone for cold therapy and not cold therapy, can you imagine not being able to tell a difference? That might be a simple answer to you, but you'll know if something's negative 15 or if if it's like regular temperature, like 75, if you're in a building. So hopefully someone can tell a difference. If you can't, please seek medical attention, because that would be kind of weird. But yeah, and then I kind of just wanted to go over sauna real quick. I couldn't really see any studies, but like, I forgot her name. What is it? Something Rhodes or Dana. Man, she was on Joe Rogan. But she did mention like saunas could be a good place for like older population slash obese population, because the fact that we can't really take, is it Rhonda Rhodes? Who am I thinking of?
Rhonda Patrick.
Rhonda Patrick. Sorry, Rhonda I knew because I did this like 2 weeks ago, so like the information's not really that clear right now. It's like breaking off. But Rhonda Patrick mentioned a lot of like clients that are obese or like elderly population or like maybe disabled population. Sauna could be a good, not so much a therapy, but a good cardiovascular option, like where your heart rate gets raised up, you get your sweat going, because some of that population can't like run. That population can't like train heavy. Like my dad has a heart condition that will never let him able to train heavy. So like if he can't train heavy, like to boost cardiovascular health, maybe he could use sauna, 5-10 minutes to help his heart get pumped and up and, build those muscles around the cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That unfortunately, like I was thinking about that the other day, and like that thought came into my head too. I was thinking about like your dad and stuff like that. I believe saunas are actually contraindicated with like heart issues. So if you have heart issues, you definitely want to talk to your doctor before you use a sauna, because I think there have been like very few, like I said, incidences, but the types of like deadly incidences you'll see with saunas are usually some sort of like heart failure.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why, I think a lot of the advice too, like, Roman and I always say, like, always consult a doctor when you have those medical conditions, because, like, usually you don't see people bring in like a heart rate monitor or anything. It's kind of hard to gauge sometimes. And sometimes you might feel okay, but sometimes, like Roman was saying, like, it could happen. And, no one wants to see that, and that's like something that could be talked to by a medical profession. But I'm gonna stop there, Roman. Because we have like probably like 5 or so minutes. I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk, buddy. I don't want to take too much of this, but go ahead, buddy. What did you have in mind?
Sweet. So I'll stay on the topic of saunas and like heat therapy, and then I'll switch back to ice therapy. So I don't think that there's like any free lunch. So what that means is, especially from a recovery perspective, I believe that the kind of information we'll see that comes out more and more moving forward is that if we're talking about muscle recovery for like hypertrophy or bodybuilding type work, and muscle recovery for powerlifting or strength-based work, also endurance type work, any type of muscle damage that's accrued from those types of activities, especially in high-level competitors. I don't believe that any type of recovery modality that uses heat or cold will increase their recovery. Just like bar none, it will not increase the speed to recovery. What it could do is, in a competition, various applications of ice, like Antoine said, like it could reduce the overall feeling of soreness and overall feeling of tightness, and it might allow a athlete to push harder in a single event or a multi-day event. For example, I'm thinking about CrossFit athletes in particular. That might be a niche example where it works, but there's a trade-off, right? Because I can't think of his name right now. I should have wrote it down. But the person that came up with the RICE method, rest, ice, compression, elevation, they essentially redacted that years later after they'd written like pretty prolifically on it, and they'd shown or made public that there was a growing body of evidence that suggested that that method was ineffective, and in some incidences was causing more harm than good. So there have been people like, once again, I can't think of his name. You can look him up on Instagram. He goes by Squat University. That's his tag. He also talks about the person who came up with the RICE method and some of his shortcomings. It was based off of like research at the time. Further research has kind of debunked it. what I believe he believes, or his hypothesis, would be deemed something like the metabolite clearing hypothesis. So there's certain metabolites that build up in muscle cells, for example, when we're performing resistance exercise activity, or you were doing any type of like endurance activity. So there'll be lactates that are building up in the muscles. Lactic acid is like the most synonymous one that that many people are well aware of. And so Squat University, that guy, I can't think of his name right now, but he believes that using cold therapies, they blunt the signaling to the muscle to clear those metabolites. And those metabolites essentially just get stuck in the receptors. So we talked about the sliding filament theory a few episodes back, and how you have all these calcium ions which are stuck in these trenches. So that's a good visualization for some of the metabolites that are getting stuck in muscle cells and not clearing. But I think it's actually more. It definitely, there's like a biochemical component, but I think it's more neurological and like electrical based in nature. So the analogy that I like to think of is, take your phone outside on like a cold day and then see like if it'll work, see what kind of applications will function.
Yeah, or see how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, and it won't. And it's just because circuitry, for example, can only operate to like a certain temperature. So I think likewise, when we provide some sort of local cooling, I believe that it blunts the electrical signaling to the muscles, and our muscles and our brains can only retain loading information for so long before that information is just essentially like lost to them. Now I don't know what that time period is before that memory is taken away from those satellite cells and other components that are critical and crucial to being able to detect load, because that's what certain parts of cells are highly evolutionarily like developed and designed for, is sensing load, and that's the stimulus of load, adding load, is what is able to create the stimulus to grow bigger, grow stronger, or to signal to the organelles inside muscles to create more mitochondria so that they can rapidly turn over substrate faster for endurance activities, for example. So I believe that what will come out more and more is that the focus needs to be on diet. So getting in the types of like macro and micronutrients that are ideal for your body, and like maybe even like based off of like your cultural heritage. So like the types of diets that like your family and like your genetics are essentially geared towards, because there are certain populations that can't withstand certain foods, and there's other populations that they thrive off of certain foods, for example. So food will be a huge focus, I believe, on recovery, as well as the actual activity itself, and proper training for the activity. And another big one that has come out recently and is just like always just making huge headlines when it comes out is the importance of sleep. I think the importance of sleep is going to be massive, and then getting to some sort of state of like a low stress level. I really don't see heat or cold therapy really going anywhere. I don't see stim going anywhere, being able to like stimulate the muscles. A light movement possibly. So there might be some like promising like initial like evidence that suggests that these like devices that people put their legs in, and they like kind of like massage your legs, and they also like stimulate like muscle activity. I think there'll be some preliminary evidence that'll suggest that they're mildly effective. I guarantee there'll be evidence that comes out that'll counteract that. And it'll be a very individualistic thing, because for some people it might reduce their overall stress levels, and that's why I believe it'll probably be more effective. But slight movement after you've done like heavy loading. That's why I'm still a big fan of like stretching whenever I can, doing like a proper cool down after workout. Not that you have to do it, but I think it's important to maintain flexibility, potentially increase plasticity of muscles, tendons, ligaments, and then potentially even like help to encourage clearing out metabolites. I think that's why a protocol of stretching and foam rolling can be helpful towards overall potentially by adding in that movement component, potentially adding a slight advantage to recovery. It's very, 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 very slight, and I'm willing to say that I'm wrong on that front. So there are some niche applications for where ice and like cryotherapy can be used. For example, we've talked about like elite powerlifters that if they gain even like more like muscle mass, then it could put them into another category, or could make it even more difficult for them to cut weight. So they might want to slow the effects of hypertrophy down, for example. That's like very plausible. So there definitely are some cases. I believe for the most people, like if you're probably under the age of 40, unless it's like something super severe, I think the best thing to do to recover is just kind of take it easy. Make sure you get in your meals, that you're like the foods that you're taking in are like agreeable to you, that you're getting your sleep. And I might have already mentioned this. So for the sake of being redundant, keep your stress levels low. How am I doing on time? I'll just make a quick note about like heat therapies. I don't think anything like a heat pad or anything along those lines. I think that's also going to affect signaling patterns to muscles and just like systems within your body. So not a huge fan of that. If it helps to reduce your overall stress, fine, that's fine. Go ahead, keep doing it. No problem there. Just be careful. Certain populations can be they can be either like super sensitive or not so sensitive to heat applications, and you can actually burn yourself with certain like heating pads. Now to say like for Gen Pop, I think that saunas are super, super, super great idea for some of the reasons that Antoine talked about. For populations that are concerned about any type of neurodegenerative disease, it seems like there is a growing body of evidence that suggests these things that Rhonda Patrick talks about. She's all over the Joe Rogan podcast, check her out. She talks about heat shock proteins. At first I thought it was like a lot of like woo woo hoo ha type stuff, but the more I look into it, the more it does seem that there is some evidence to suggest that these proteins are able to identify other proteins that have either denatured or unfolded themselves, so they're not acting functionally anymore, and they're able to bring them like within the receptor area of these heat shock proteins and refold them appropriately so they can function as they're designed. And for certain things like Alzheimer's and, as I mentioned, other neurodegenerative diseases, it seems like it could be an effective therapeutic strategy that's implemented by your medical staff. I'm not a doctor, can't make that kind of recommendation. A lot of people self-describe that saunas is like a great thing. It's like, it's killer, it's bomb, it's boss. So if it works for you, it works for you. I don't think it'll come out that it's beneficial towards recovery in the long run, but when it comes to health and longevity, I do think that saunas are going to become a growing part of that community to essentially like increase overall well-being, overall like longevity, so like length of life, etc.
And that's it, folks. The wah wah wee wah, and all that.
Is this nice?
No, that was really good. And see, thing is, I brought up the Rhonda Patrick, and it seemed like you started remembering things too. Look at that, buddy.
Yeah.
Two heads are better than one.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to talk about Rhonda Patrick because when I first like heard her talk about heat shock proteins, I was like, I'm not really sure. But like the more like I looked into her and then like some like her background, and then like seeing that like other people are talking about this kind of thing, and that these are proteins that are always like present within like the what do you call it, like cytoplasm and like the cellular matrix. That's the phrase I was looking for, cellular matrix. But they're activated and they're like turned on and like cycled up with things like exercise. And the one thing that like saunas do is because of the heat stress on your body, they're going to increase your So initially your brain's going to detect an increase in temperature via the hypothalamus, I believe, which is going to signal to your heart to increase blood flow, which is going to like dilate the skin, and you're going to start sweating, and the sweat is mechanically to cool your body down, and that creates like a whole system of other effects, which like essentially like turn on the function or upregulate the function of these heat shock proteins, which become like more virulent within the cellular matrix. And at that time, they seek out dysfunctional proteins more under these stressful incidences, from my understanding.
Perfect, buddy. Well, thanks for all that, buddy. Well, guys, if you guys like the therapy session, then join us on our next episode too. No, I'm just kidding. But I totally forgot about like the stim therapy too. We could have probably correlated that too back to the main point, but either way, maybe that's something else we could talk about again later on. I know we've probably said some of the stuff in the past, but thanks you guys for tuning in to episode 75. Follow us, like us, comment, subscribe. Find us on Instagram and on all audio and video platforms. Hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.